visuals, and welcome back to the channel. What a fucking way to start. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Superhero Wednesday, the day of the week where we like to get downright down and nerdy. And we're going to talk about something this week that we very rarely talk about. Of course, video games. Video games are a huge part of nerd culture and nerd society. We're a society now. To be fair as well, not including like the Pokemon games and like the most superhero games. Video game sort of world is probably lower down my tier list to like comic books and films and collectibles and whatnot. Don't get us wrong, there are top 6, they're in the top 10, but like actual gaming, like the classic stuff, the Marios and whatnot, yes, I'm mega into, but I wouldn't class myself as a gamer. A gamer to me is somebody that absolutely smashes loads of individual games, whereas I'm quite picky with games, or I'm very, because I like games where it's your single player, you go through a story, done, dusted, away you go. But you know, like I'm not a COD guy, I'm a massive football fan, but I'm not even really a FIFA guy. I'm definitely not a Fortnite sort of guy. Whatever massive games out there. They're the biggest games I can name. My point is OG gaming stuff, the Nintendo stuff of the world, the Segas, you know, your Sonics, your Marios, your Pokemons, all that sort of carry on. I love that kind of shit. But there are some normal, I guess, quote-unquote video games that I do absolutely adore, and whenever games related to them come out, I make sure to get, or if they're games that are involved in franchises that I already love, I make sure to get. So I thought it would be quite cool to talk about my top 5 games of all time that aren't Pokemon or the Spider-Man and Batman stuff. They're just different games that aren't them. So they're not my favourite games of all time, but they're my 5 favourite games, at least franchises, that aren't them 3. What a long way to say. That's when you know you're just a big old donut. But visuals, please. I want to know your favourite video games. I don't care what they are. If it's Rainbow Six, if it's Resident Evil, if it's Gears of War. Let me know in the comments below. I want to know what your sort of games you're all playing in the comments below. So visuals, are we ready? Let's take a look at my 5 favourite Pokemon games. We told you we're going to talk about Pokemon games. My favourite video games that aren't Pokemon, Spider-Man stuff, or, well, more specifically, the Insomniac's recent Spider-Man shenanigans, or the Arkham-related stuff. Here we go. That was an awful Mario impression. Kicking us off at number 5 is a franchise that I love wholeheartedly. I constantly, don't ask why I've got the Squirtle keychain on. I absolutely adore our beautiful little Lord of the Rings ring. It's the Shadow of War, or what the fuck? It's the Lord of the Rings Shadow games. That's what I'm just going to call them for now. I absolutely adore the world of Lord of the Rings. Ignore Squirtle, but we constantly have our Lord of the Rings, the one ring round our neck. We have for fucking years. But these games are absolutely phenomenal. The following Talion and the stuff with the raves and whatnot. The way that I'm not a huge Assassin's Creed guy, so if I'm wrong on this, let me know in the comments below. But the way I describe it to a lot of people that haven't played them, as I always say, it's kind of like an Assassin's Creed type, but in Middle-earth, in Mordor. Branding orcs and making armies and getting revenge and rave stuff and up against trolls and wargs and all that. It's absolutely phenomenal. And if you love the world of Middle-earth and a good old fantasy adventure sort of, here's my sword, bow and arrow shenanigans, you'll just absolutely love these games. And I'm torn between which one I love the most. I'm more inclined to say Shadow of War, I think. But either way, I fucking adore them both. I don't know if there's any news for future ones, but I hope to God there is. Next up, it's the South Park games. Of course, it's the South Park games. But more specifically, as much as I love the Fractured But Whole, because that name's just beautiful, it's the Stick of Truth. I think I prefer when the kids were doing the storyline of, you know, fantasy, when they're doing Lord of the Rings stuff and all that kind of carry on. I do love the superhero stuff, though. And I can't wait for Snow Days, because I think, to be fair, when this video comes out, it might be next week that's out. But anyway, it's basically like, huge South Park fan, one of my favourite things to ever be created, one of my favourite TV shows of all time, maybe even my favourite TV sitcom, you know, weekly episodic show of all time. But it's like just sitting down, relaxing, and being a part of an episode. And in fact, some of it, the Fractured But Whole stuff, did tie into a couple of episodes and stuff, didn't they? And it's just like being involved with an episode. You just sit there, you chill out, you've got the same comedy, the voice acting of Matt Stone and Trey Parker and everyone else involved. The fact that they didn't know how to get from house to house because they always just used to cut to house. So when they were asking for a map and a layout, they were like, fuck knows, we just cut everywhere. And they built the world of South Park through the games and stuff into... We have had South Park games before in the past. Like the old N64 one, whatever the fuck that was called, was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, the South Park Fraction But Whole, amazing. But the Stick of Truth was just fucking epic. Up, we're going to go to Capcom and we're going to go look at the world of Dead Rising. Again... If I had to pick one, I'm going to say number 2. I think I like Chuck a bit more. Chuck Green. Chuck Green? Yeah, I think it was Chuck Green. Anyway, the world of Dead Rising is just phenomenal. Frank Castle taking his pictures, doing his shit. And again, I know we had different protagonists later on in the series and stuff. And I know a lot of people say the series declined a bit. Overall, it's been at a steady pace, but number 2 was where I probably madly fell in love with the combination weapons, the mall expanding, the little routes you would take, you know, the little casino bit inside of the games, the crazy bosses, the lunatics that you'd fight inside of there, the motorbike shenanigans going up and down, trying to get all the achievements and killing X amount of zombies and stuff, the online component, the... if you gotta be willing to risk it all if you're ever gonna win big. What the fuck was it? The online game, I can't remember what it was called now. But the look of Chuck as well, and when you had to come back and you eventually had to kill him off and stuff. I was so heartbroken. The Zombrex shenanigans, everything about it, the storyline, the villains in this one, it was just awesome for me, and I had so much fun on Dead Rising 2. Countless hours wasted, well, not to me wasted, but wasted away, just killing zombies, making crazy weapons, making lightsabers and stuff. Oh, just fucking phenomenal. So all of the Dead Rising, but probably number 2. It is Dragon Ball Z, and it's none of the more popular games, I would say, but it's Kakarot. Even though that game was really, really popular, but I think the Xenoverse stuff and whatnot's probably a bit more popular. I think, again, I could be wrong, but kind of just like South Park, just to go through them earlier days of Dragon Ball Z, but be the person behind the screen actually interacting, you know, flying around as Goku, going up against the likes of Cell and doing all that shenanigans and the different bits where Vegeta had to fight and all that, and this bit happened there and that bit happened there, then going about as Piccolo, going up against Frieza and whatnot, turning Super Saiyan, get the different transformations. But then later on as well, we did get the stuff with Beerus and Whis and going Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan and all that kind of carry on, the different power-ups and all that, the voice acting and the voice animation, the animation in general being absolutely beautiful, collecting the Dragon Balls and actually going around and finding them, just flying around. It's just being a huge Dragon Ball fan and being inside of the world and being able to interact with the world and just have random enemies pop up like it's a wild Pokemon battle and going nuts and shit, just was so much fun and so cool. Hearing the theme tune when you load up the game and stuff like that. It's so many different elements. Going back and fighting people and doing stuff when you're so overpowered, you're so OP. My team constantly consisted of the main boys, Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo. But then it was mostly Goku, and he was my most overpowered, my most played, my most used, just my most absolute force and a unit of a man, constantly getting the Dragon Balls and wishing for more this to get this and eating away and doing a bit of fishing and having a bit of a giggle on, a bit of a laugh, doing the whole driving stuff as well, which was quite funny. It was just fun to relive and go back and them earlier sort of days of Dragon Ball and shit. When maybe I fell more in love with Dragon Ball as a world when it was the Dragon Ball Z, the Z Warriors and all that kind of stuff. I liked it before that, but I think maybe I was a bit too young and I was getting old and falling more in love with it. But that's definitely where I fell massively in love with it. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is just beautiful. And finally, it's a boring answer, it's a stupid answer, but it's an answer that I have to say, and it's Mario Kart. I fucking love Mario Kart. It's definitely as well, before I go any further, my favourite Mario game all round in general. Who the fuck doesn't love Mario Kart? You could be with the gothiest of goth guys, with the most regular sort of mundane farmer guy or whatever, but stick them in the room together and say, do you want to play some Mario Kart? And yeah, surely it's so rare to find something that's not like, yeah, well, I've got Race on Mario Kart. The intensity when you are playing with people or online or whatnot, the whole blue shell shenanigans, or you see plenty of them memes where it's a red shell and you're about to cross the line, but even as just as a nice time filler, I might do a week at work and then throughout a couple of them days where I've finished, I've got nothing really on with the evening, I'll just put a film on, whatever it may be, and we'll just go along and play a few races on Mario Kart. And it's still just so much fun, drifting around every corner, holding onto my banana so somebody could chuck a shell and I can use it as my defense, get away, and then getting a drift in somewhere and a boost in here, and it's fucking awesome. The horrible gut-wrenching feeling. It's the same feeling as when a late goal goes in a football match against your team. You're like, oh, we've just lost in the last minute. I've just lost this race in the last minute. But then the other feeling of getting that goal or getting that win just before you've crossed the finish line is just so much fun. The fact that now on the Switch, you can take your Switch anywhere, get your Joy-Cons and say, do you want to come on a race on Mario Kart? Done, dusted. It's fucking phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, Mario Kart is probably my favourite game that isn't Pokemon, Spider-Man, or the Arkham games, as I turn into Wolverine, of all time. We have the visuals of my 5 favourite video games. Let me know yours in the comments below. I definitely got to know. I got to know. Importantly, let me know what you think of my list. Have you played every game on this list? Did you hate the Lord of the Rings or the Shadow games? Did you hate Kakarot? Are you not a big Mario Kart fan? I would be so severely surprised if there's people out there that genuinely turn around and say, I fucking can't stand Mario Kart. And also, do you class Mario Kart as a racing game? I know you're racing. I know you're in cars of sorts, well, karts. But, like, you know, when you think of racing games like Forza Motorsport, Colin McRae Car Rally, Gran Turismo and that, I never really think of it as an actual racing game, but yeah, that's actually what you're doing. Let me know in the comments below. But more importantly, visuals, thank you so much for watching. You guys are literally the fucking best. And hopefully it was a nice change of pace. We don't really talk, unless we're doing reviews, we don't really talk much about video games on Superhero Wednesday, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you, visuals. You guys are the fucking best. Morose, keep being you and keep on web slinging on.